Good morning for WGRV. This is Reid Seals, and I'm here for our monthly interview with Greene County Mayor David Crum. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, Reid. Good morning, Greene County.
First question. It seemed like the airport joint venture was already terminated. Can you explain what is going on with that?
The vote was taken for me to enter into an agreement to terminate that. And just in conversations back and forth, the thing that has got us bogged down, I guess, is the liability. That the county wants to relinquish all the liability that may be out there. And of course, the city on the other side wants us to maintain the liability while we were in partnership. Hopefully we can get that resolved or see what the alternatives are before we finish up in August and can get that resolved, because, I mean, it's a big sticking point. Who's liable for what may occur at an airport? But, it's one of those things we've got to decide, kind of like the one commissioner said, are we in or are we out? And I still think the airport is one of those joint ventures that works better not as a joint venture, kind of like we've done at Kinser Park. And look, at some things you work well as a partnership, and the airport's one of those that I think just the oversight being to one governmental entity and one small committee that brings what their focus is can get things done quicker and easier and get on one page.
And can you explain the situation with Tacoma Hospital and the EMS substation?
Oh, that was one of those things I actually had people kind of laugh about, that they couldn't believe that I actually asked them to give us that property. And but I know with all the transition that's going on with Tacoma and bad health, we've had they've allowed us to use that facility as just a handshake agreement for like 12 years plus. And so our ambulances are out back. We've got the one building that we use for like the coroner, for some different things like that, for the sleep quarters for the crews. The other building is the sleep center that Tacoma and Ballard has used. So looking at the long term, I thought, well, we want to stay there. So I went down and talked to Tammy Albright, and we had a conversation about, would you be interested in that property, us taking it? And she kind of, well, what are you offering? I'm like, well, I'm offering to let you give it to me. And so it's going to work out very well, I think. It will allow us to have that long-term footprint that will be there. They've asked for about 18 months to transition the sleep center up into the hospital. During the maintenance and things for the last several years, if something went wrong, we'd call. Sometimes they'd fix it, sometimes we'd fix it. So it just kind of gets it to where it's ours. We know we're there. We've got a footprint there. And when the sleep center moves out, there's not a particular plan as to what is the best usage for that. It may be storage for records. It may be that I'd really like to move the EMS offices out of a garage that's on Summer Street. It's not conducive to customers coming in to deal, because there's always ambulances and things parked there. It's hard for them to get in and out. So we've talked about, combining it if Greenville builds a fire hall, but that may be a location that would open up. It's like, okay, let's just move them over there and move them into there in 18 months. That'll be up to the next administration to decide what's the best course. But I think by having that conversation with them, and I truly appreciate, because I think it's a great move for the county for them to donate that property to us and us take possession, so we know who's responsible. We're there, and we don't want to leave that location. They don't want us to. It's right there next to the hospital. It services that into the county well, so it's a good location for us to stay and keep our facilities. So.
Now, what is the deal with the house next to the Annex? The commission previously didn't want to purchase it, and on Monday they voted to give you a cap of $100,000, more than the original, cost of the house. So what's the deal with that?
The family came to me, as often happens if you've got property next to somebody. They came and asked if we were interested. I'm like, that's a commission decision to purchase that, to expend the funds. So I took it to the commission. Did they want to expend a small amount for me to get a structural engineer to give us really what our options might be, what are the load-bearing abilities of the property inside? And they chose not to. We're not interested. We don't want it. And the auctioneer came and said, and a apparently, I guess they decided, well, we may want to, so we're going to give you the option of up to this amount to go and evaluate it and possibly purchase the house. Don't know if there's any plans for it other than it adjoins our property, so is it something that we'd be interested in? So.
And can you talk about the Veteran Services Officer appointment? A lot of people probably don't know what that even is.
Yeah, we have Veteran Services facility out here. If you go out Snaps Ferry Road, if anyone's been a veteran, that they can go out there and apply for services. And Steve Alexander had been a longtime Veteran Services Officer. One of the requirements is that you have to be a veteran in order to hold that position. And for us to file claims, Sonia works in there and does a lot of the work. She's the full-time employee. It's out on Snaps Ferry where the tank is in the American Legion building, in case any of the veterans are interested in looking for services. But Steve retired, and how deep you want me to get into the process there, just what they do?
However much you want to.
Okay, because I can make a story long somewhat. So we have to have a veteran service officer. I had kind of thought about waiting until the next administration came into appoint, to let them make that appointment. And so I called Hawkins County about allowing their veteran service officer to kind of be the oversight, and that was what the Veterans Administration, the director out in Knoxville, says as long as we had a memorandum of understanding with a neighboring county that they could be our veteran service officer. So I drafted that. The only addition to what I had drafted after our attorney in Hawkins County was the state asked us to put in a specific that there would be communication either by telephone or email on specific number of times a week between Sonia here and that veteran service officer. Kind of got sidetracked. Their county mayor wanted to take it to the commission for approval. The day they met, he had called over to the office, and the person I'd been having communication was out on vacation, and the other person hadn't had any conversation. Said, well, nobody's talked to us, so he pulled it off, so it didn't get appointed. We needed to get our own appointed so that we could move forward and file claims, because Sonia's not been able to do that without that. So we had posted it. We had applicants. She interviewed. That was her person she liked. I'd had some other veterans, express interest in him. Been very active in the Honor Guard and some of the other things. So we appointed Bobby Charles McLean. And that went before the commission Monday night. I can do the hiring, but the commission actually does the appointment and the final approval.
And what can you tell me about the budget now that it has been presented to the commission?
It's presented to them, and it was presented with the school resource officers included. We've talked about that basically the budget's going to come down to, we know that it's an assessment year, so the property tax assessment did change. So if we basically say we don't want school resource officers and this is the tax rate we're going to accept, is the direction we go. But if we want school resource officers, it's going to have to be funded, which would require a tax increase.
And just our last normal question, what's going on here in Greene County over the next month?
There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. I mean, I looked up and we've got the fair will be August 6th through 12th. First full day of school will be August 6th, so mark that on your calendar. Those little buses and things will be running and the kids going around, so there's a lot going on there. We've still got some baseball going on out at the it's not the Astros, it's the Reds. Pioneer Park. So we've just got a ton of things going on. I know last week before ball game they did a walk. I wasn't able to do it. Just kind of sidebar, the Y has their 5K coming up August 18th. And then a lot of people are preparing. We'll meet again, but Y has a little sprint triathlon, a short swim, bike, and run. And you can do that as a team and break down and do different parts. I'm going to do the bike part for our team. It's doing it again. Turtle's trying. And so we're preparing for that. It's in September. And so it's just getting fall of the year. You got sports kicking up with 7-on-7 drills and other things. So it's just a lot is happening in Greene County. And I guess the Rural Resources has their fundraiser dinner that'll be on Main Street. But look at your all's website. Look at the WGRV website for community calendar. And got a thing yesterday, I guess the Chick-fil-A will be having a ribbon
That's
cutting.
true.
And I didn't get a chance to recheck that, but it should be open out at Tusculum University. And so, yeah, it's just busy. And really want to say I appreciate WGRV and the opportunity they've given me every month because, as you said, this will be our next to the last interview that we do, and appreciate the opportunity. And hopefully we've been able to communicate to the community over this term of 4 years some of the things that are going on and the reasons that they are going on in our community.
Well, I want to thank Greene County Mayor David Crum for coming by today, and he will be back next month for his final interview as mayor. This is Reid Seals for AM 1340 WGRV.